SpongeBob SquarePants. Absorbent? Yes. Yellow? Yes. Porous? You bet. A man? Not hardly. Knucklehead McSpazatron? Yeah. Goofy Goober? Oh, abso-freaking-lutely. But in line for a remake of his 2004 game based upon the first ever classic SpongeBob movie? After what I consider to be a successful remake of Battle for Bikini Bottom, and a beautiful brand new game in cosmic shape, it seems that for the time being, SpongeBob fans are left wondering, well, what's next? While it's entirely possible that the next SpongeBob game is an original one and not a remake, it's still very likely that at some point there will be a remake of a SpongeBob game. So, why not the movie game? What do we think, YouTube? Will the SpongeBob movie game finally get a remake? Well, my name is Dallas from NoggTV, and my new spongy NoggTV family, let's talk about it. After 2,600 views and counting, still, you guys have left me no choice but to follow up on the SpongeBob movie game. It warms my heart to see that there's still people out there that love SpongeBob games. I hope to build a strong, positive community around my channel soon, and I would love to have as many SpongeBob fans as will support me. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my gaming content. So let's talk about the SpongeBob movie game, which oddly enough was produced alongside the movie, which is why instead of full cutscenes or clips from the movie, they kind of just use still images as to avoid, I guess, giving away the whole scene and making the movie, unnecessary to watch. Well, on the bright side, at least we don't have to sit through the Temu version of Mr. Krabs.
Worried for me money, of course.
The game plays very similarly to Battle for Bikini Bottom, with the same models for SpongeBob and Patrick being used, as well as many of the same attacks and moves, and even some of the enemies feel a little bit recycled. However, its pacing is a little more based around missions and doing certain tasks in those levels as you progress through the game. As a result, it's much more linear as opposed to the, I guess, looser style of Bikini Bottom that kind of let you have some choice among which levels you wanted to tackle in which order. Now, that's not to say that there won't be any backtracking or revisiting levels. Because you unlock new moves as you progress through the game, like in Battle for Bikini Bottom, there will be certain parts of levels where you have the opportunity to earn Goofy Goober tokens, but not on your first visit to the level. You might have to come back when Patrick can throw ice blocks to freeze water, or even towards the very end of the game when SpongeBob can use his guitar ability. While many of SpongeBob and Patrick's moves are recycled from other games, what sets the SpongeBob movie game apart from the competition is the ability to choose which moves you can upgrade and when, thanks to the currency in the game, which are manly points, or as I like to call them, P points, because when you get enough and you fill up the bar and it's got a little P and looks like you can, never mind, inside joke. This single feature is a game changer. This is great because, well, now SpongeBob can use explosive metal fists for his up attack. SpongeBob can also bowl electric bombs. And Patrick Star can chunk melons farther than Patrick Mahomes can chunk a football. Watch out, Mahomes. There's a new Patrick in town. While this is nice, it's a little disappointing because I was really hoping to exchange my manly points to, learn how to change a flat tire, maybe be a foot taller, or maybe even be able to chop wood like those sexy lumberjacks I saw on TikTok the other day. Now's a good time to talk about the driving and sliding levels. Everybody loves those, right? Right? Well, love is a strong word, but at the very least, could we at least appreciate the fact that they do bring some variety with them, and after all, anytime I can drive a sandwich, I'll happily do it for my country. Real talk though, they do change up the pace here and there, so you don't get too bored of just the regular platforming levels. The sliding mechanic returns from Battle for Bikini Bottom, but instead of just being parts of the level, they are the levels. And no, Sand Mountain, I didn't forget about you. You're still one of the coolest levels. You'll get to slide across the desert, a bottomless pit, and all around the inside of Shell City. It pretty much works the exact same as it did in Battle for Bikini Bottom, except instead of just sliding to the bottom just to get to the bottom, you can now do optional time challenges for extra tokens, with an easy time trial and a slightly stricter macho time challenge that really tests your knowledge of the level and its shortcuts. If you love Superman 64 like I think everyone on Earth did, right? Then you can participate in optional ring challenges where you have to follow a path of rings quickly before they fade away. Being honest, I found this to be harder than the Macho Challenge at times. And as stated earlier, in addition to the sliding levels, now you can drive the paddy wagon in a couple levels. There's one around Bikini Bottom, one around the Thug Tug, and even one around wherever this is. So we're chasing the Goofy Goober? I'm sorry, I've seen this movie like a gazillion times now, and did they ever do that? Like, yeah, I know that they didn't want to give away the movie, so instead, they just decided to intentionally throw us off with a bad acid trip. Little me was confused out of my mind the first time I played this, and rightfully so. Now, onto something that I don't think the game does very well, boss battles. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, there were 6. In the movie game, there are a whopping 4. Mr. Whiskers, 2 fights against Dennis, and the final boss fight against King Neptune. And look, I know people will say, well, they gotta follow the source material. What other bosses could they have made from the movie? No, they don't. They poofed the Goofy Goober race right out of nowhere, so why couldn't they do that with a sick boss fight against, I don't know, Karen?
Yes.
Honestly, the Mr. Whiskers fight and the first Dennis fight are a complete joke. The second Dennis fight is kinda cool, but entirely just for the fact that it takes place on David Hasselhoff himself. Now, why Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl hasn't made a freaking level out of David Hasselhoff's back is beside me. I guess the Smash Ultimate level designers better get on that ASAP and give me credit for that idea, for real. The final boss fight is really the only one I'm actually a fan of. It's a good balance of challenge, but also still being achievable. It's also got the added bonus of getting to hear the Goofy Goober rock song in the background while I'm kicking King Neptune's tail fin in. The game does feel a little short compared to others, especially in that first half. I was playing for my rant video and on stream, and I swear I was already to Shell City in like 2 hours. So although I've never actually timed myself, I wouldn't think it's impossible to beat the game in under 4 or 5 hours, especially if you aren't even going for all the tokens and extras. I know they only had so much freedom with having to follow the plot of the movie, but they really kind of did all that they could do, I guess. Several of the driving and sliding levels probably weren't even necessary to the story, but were added to pad the game and give players something different. If I'm being completely honest though, the time trials and ring challenges are just straight up boring, and they don't really add anything positive to the game. It's just there simply to increase the playtime hours. I guess it's there to pad the padding? It's always more of an extra chore I have to do, as opposed to something I choose to do because I want to go out of my way to do so. But don't worry, I'm not completely dogging the game, as there is a part of the game I've yet to discuss that I actually really love. Well, I love parts of it. I'm talking about these extra challenges you can enter from the main levels where you can either engage in combat, test your platforming skills, or my personal favorite, play SpongeBob challenges. Let's get to the chase here. Combat challenges, they can off. Platforming challenges, not hard, but entertaining enough that they feel refreshing, and they don't overstay their welcome. The SpongeBob challenges are maybe my favorite part of the entire game, and I'm upset that they didn't have more. I'd legit play a whole side mode with them. It's too bad the extras don't unlock more levels like that. Now that I've done plenty of rambling, here's a question for you. What would you like to see in a potential remake? Me personally, well, definitely more SpongeBob levels. Shoot, replace those stupid combat challenges that nobody wants. I don't know if it's possible, but maybe they could add more extras, or maybe just change some of the bonuses around. I don't know, the sound effects just don't really do it for me, man. I'd love to see more costume choices, or maybe a bonus level or some kind of multiplayer. It wouldn't have to be much, just something that's not Robo Squidward multiplayer, please.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
So, my wonderful audience, if you made it this far, well, for one, you might as well like and subscribe, but equally as important, you're probably still wondering about that question, I asked at the beginning of the video, do I think the game will get a remake? Well, here's the honest truth. No, I wouldn't bet on it. Popularity-wise, yes, it is right there, just a tiny smidge behind what Battle for Bikini Bottom had going for it. The problem is, as I'm sure that some of you have thought about, is that it's based on the movie, so I don't know if there's any extra legal hurdles or steps to consider and navigate that I'm not familiar with. It would probably be something they'd have to talk with Paramount about, and who knows, maybe if they did bring the game back, they could put the movies back in theaters. I don't know, that would be really cool. So do I think it'll happen? Not really. No, I wouldn't want to bet any life savings on it. But I also would have said the same thing about Battle for Bikini Bottom until they remade it. So for all of you still with hope out there, don't let me discourage you. What I say really doesn't matter a whole lot. I'm no expert. And in today's gaming world, I think, well, it's been proven that anything can happen at any time. Should the game get remade though? Abso-goof-alutely. Don't want the conversation to end, or you want to hear more of my thoughts on the game? Well, click this video up in the top right corner to join those 26-something hundred people that were very awesome enough to hear what I had to say in this video. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go check my couch cushions to see if I can scavenge for any more manly points. Maybe I can finally learn how to change my car's oil.